What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we got something pretty neat going on. Most of you guys should remember this car right here. This is Robert's car. It's the one that we've done the Pro Charger, the cam, a few other things. Really well maintained. 2006 or 2009. Honestly, can't remember. Boy, I'd be messing up the years on these cars, but that's because I work on so many different ones. But anyways, this car is super clean, super well maintained, and we're doing another set of upgrades to it, and that would be these parts here. So this generation, this is a 6.1 liter. They have a different gear ratio, and they also do not have LSD. So we're gonna hook them up and get, this is a differential out of a 2012 SRT. So he's gonna get a couple other upgrades. When you change out that differential, you also have to change out the axles. So you get a larger spline axle, more beefy, less prone to breakage, and then you also have to change the back half of the drive shaft because the connection points. It's a 4-point on these cars, and then you have a 3-point on the 2012 and up, and then it changes again on the 16 and newer stuff. Is different as well. So we just have to change the back half of the drive shaft out, and that will solve that issue. But we'll get this stuff in there. You also have to change out the hubs, obviously, because of the bigger axle. But now he'll be able to do nice two-wheel burnouts and such, and it'll help the car, you know, launch better and be all-around better driver. The gear ratio change should help some too. This year model obviously has got the NAG 1 transmission in it. It's a 5-speed. So putting this 309 in it'll be nice. It should help out the blower some as well. So stick with us, stay tuned, and enjoy the install. Alright guys, just to catch you up to speed on the differential change. We went ahead and pulled the axle nut on both sides just to get that prepped. Pulled the exhaust system down and got the rear portion of the drive shaft taken out, because when we put the new differential up, we have to switch out the back portion of the drive shaft. So I got that done, and I've already broken free the rear nuts, or the bolts that go into the differential. There's 2 on the back side, and then the one right here. The ones on the backs are 21 millimeter, and then the one up here in the front is a number 8 Allen. Get those all loosened up, and then once those are loosened up, we'll go ahead and start taking apart the hubs on each side. Get the axles out, get the new hubs put in it, and then we'll lower this differential out and get prepped, slapping the new one in. Alright guys, get you all caught up again. So what I did here was remove the sway bar on both sides. It's a 16 mil, I believe, and then 18s to get this bar off, and these upper 2 bars off. And what that does is allow some space to pivot this out, so that way you can push the axle and pop the axle out on the top on both sides. And then I was able to slip the axle out of the differential on both sides and bring her on down. So now that we got the differential out and we got a bunch of space, let me grab a light real quick. We've got these, I don't know how you can see them right there. Those inverted torques. There's 4 of those. Excuse me, it's an E socket. And once you remove those 4, then you will be able to remove the hub. So once we get the hubs out, we'll slap the new hubs in, put the new axles up and in, and then we'll pop this diff off, slap that diff up, and pop the axles in and bolt that diff up. So I'm gonna go ahead and set you guys down, pull these hubs off, and then we'll get to the next step. Alright guys, so as you can see, the hubs are out. It's actually an E14 socket to get those bolts right there. Oh, those bolts right there undone. It's an E14. Undo those 4 bolts, and then that all comes loose. And the hubs pretty much fall right out. Just be careful because you know all that kind of holds the dust cover and the emergency brake stuff. And you don't want to smack all that stuff around and have to mess with that. So just be careful when you're taking it apart. And then now we can go ahead and put in the new ones. Here's a little sneak peek of the new ones. Go ahead and get this put up in there. And that's it. Just make sure you tighten everything down good. And then we'll go ahead and repeat that on the other side. And then I got to show you, but the axles that we have are missing the ABS rings. So we're going to end up cleaning the end of the axle up. We got brand new ABS rings. And I'll show you how to get those installed as well. Alright guys, so what I end up doing is I'll take a prep tool and clean this lip up. You know, you can see it's real rusty. I'll clean the lip up on it. There's an idea of before what it looked like and then what it looks like now. Get that lip cleaned up, and I'll take a little bit of grease and I'll just grease it to help these ABS rings slip on a little bit easier. You want to be very careful when you're putting these on. They're very flimsy, very fragile. You can bend them very easily, damage them, then they don't work. So just you know, take it easy. Take your time and be careful when you're putting these on. So go ahead and get these snapped. This one put on, and then I'll clean the other one up and get it put on. And then boom, there you guys have it. ABS ring installed. So go ahead and repeat the same steps on this one, and then we'll go ahead and get these axles stabbed. Alright guys, as you can see, the old diff is out, and shine some light on this, and the new diff is in. Well, it's up there. So put the new axle in on this side, went ahead and tightened the 32mm nut on this side, pull that axle all the way in, snapped this axle into the diff. And then what I did on this side was I preset the other axle just up in there, got the diff up in place. lifted it up and slid it over in, got it all the way in, and now I just have to let me turn the light here, pry this out and get the axle stub into the hub. Once that's in the hub, I'll go ahead and put the 32 in on the other side, tighten that up, and then I'll raise the differential up and get the bolts started on that and get this diff snugged up in there. So that's where we're at. So now that the diff's up, I want to go over a few things with this differential that is different than the old differential. So like I said, this car is a 2009 and we put a 2013 differential in it. This is the srt8 309 gear ratio limited slip differential. So one thing to remember when you're putting the new one up, these bolts here on the back that are 21s that go through into the back of the cover case, is from the factory there was blue Loctite on those, and for good reason. So make sure you put a dab of blue Loctite on both of these before you put them back in. And then the other big change is right here. So you have a long bolt that goes from through here all the way up into the K-member, well, the rear subframe, and the 09 diff has a short bolt. It just goes right here. I have heard of some people like machining this a little bit and putting the short bolt in. The correct answer is just go down to your local Dodge dealership and order the correct link bolt, or measure it out and go get an appropriate grade bolt that's that long in the right thread and pitch and put it in there. But I just wanted to go ahead and address that, that you will need a different bolt for here. We also went ahead and put our drive shaft back up in, and we swapped out the rear section. So the front section here is the factory one from the car, and then this rear section here is from a 2013. So pretty easy, just when you undo the carrier bearing bolts and you take the 3 bolts off the back here, or on the factory one, the 4 bolts off the back here, and you can pop this down, and then literally the back half, here I'll show you the one on the ground, the back half will literally just slide out. So got that swapped, and I went ahead and popped the axles back in and got those snugged up. So now that that's pretty much all situated, I'm going to bring the car down and get all of this all back reassembled. Obviously it's the reverse of what you did to pull it apart. And I'll put the heat shield back on up here, and that'll pretty much wrap it up. We'll put the exhaust back on after that, and get the wheels and tires back on, and that will pretty much wrap up this differential install. So I'll get the other sides back together and go over everything one more time with you guys, and pretty soon we'll see our final product. And that's a wrap, guys. 2013 diff install on this 2009 srt8. The axle's in, the ABS ring's in, the diff's in. Got that longer bolt, drive shaft. It's all wrapped up and the wheels are back on.